Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Mike X. Welcome to another clip from my YouTube channel, Bruthamikexspeaks. Tonight I want to continue to connect with, my family in the Black/African diaspora. Particularly, my brothers and sisters who are caught up in the project developments, the tenements, the black ghetto, so to speak. Some of you, may be asking, who do you think you are, to be talking the way you do, on these YouTube clips, on Facebook, on, talking all of this stuff about unity and get right or get left, you know what I mean? The Wake Up Project, educate yourself, take ownership, you know what I mean, of your destiny. And, I'm your brother, family, I'm your brother, I'm your cousin, I'm your nephew, I'm your uncle, I'm a member, of this family, and, I share with you from my life, from my studies. I want you to know, I don't consider myself to be a master. I want you to know that I'm not walking around here with my chest puffed out, with a big head, even though, I do got a big head. You know what I mean? I do got a big head. And the Lord knows, He knew He had to bless me with a big head to accommodate the unquenchable thirst for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and truth that He blessed me with. You know what I mean? Your brother is a lifelong learner, a student, a seeker of truth. You know what I mean? And I strive to share with you from my studies, from my experiences, from my efforts to try to apply truth to my life, from my efforts in the neighborhood to strive to be an activist and be a part of, a much needed spark, to activate, self-pride, self-love, amongst my family. You know what I mean? So, that's why I do what I do. And, nobody asked me to do it. I wasn't elected, you know what I mean? But, but I was blessed again, with that thirst. And, my strongest desire is, what I mean, to help to our people to regain, our godly stature. You know what I mean? So, and I hope and pray that, that I can be a bridge, a bridge. I don't consider myself a master. I just consider myself an apprentice, of the truth. You know what I mean? But, I pray that, through me and through my efforts, that I can help to provide a bridge between you and the masters. You know what I mean? In the different fields of thought and discipline that I speak from at times. Some of you who follow me, or who have, caught any of my efforts through YouTube, through Facebook, and through social media in general, through the blog talk. I've done a lot of blog talk. Shout out to the Pops movement. Shout out to, Real Talk Blog Live with my sister Nicole Singleton. Shout out to, there's been various blog talks, Sign of the Times, with, Sister Queen Tahira and Dr. James Jones and others, some of you may be confused, by the way I represent myself, Some may be asking, well, what exactly are you, Brother Mike? Sometimes, damn, you sound like a Christian, sometimes you sound like, a registered Muslim with the Nation of Islam, sometimes you sound like a member of the Nation of Gods and Earths, 5%. I see you rocking the RBG, the red, black, and green. Are you a Garveyite? Family, my answer would be that I have love and respect for all of those disciplines, but no, I'm just a seeker of truth, and I believe that God is truth. God is truth universally, and I think that what happens a lot of times is what we do is we become enamored of certain degrees of the truth. And then we, become sometimes bigoted or prejudiced about the particular degree of truth that we represent, as opposed to other degrees of truth. And then we begin to fight and war and argue, with other people who are representing other degrees of the truth. And what has to happen is we have to learn how to, prioritize and focus on striving to submit our lives to the highest degree of truth that we can personally comprehend at any point in given time in our lives. And if we would focus on striving to become one with the highest comprehension of truth that we have at any given time, there would be no room for us to be fighting, to be arguing, over who got the best truth. Me personally, I believe, again, because I believe that the truth is infinite, that is universal, because I believe that God, is the sum total of all truth, universally. I have no problem, with looking for the best there is to offer in, those spiritual, religious, political, cultural traditions. I feel like there's a common thread, that will unite any sincere seeker of truth, not to fight with one another, not to war with one another, but to be brothers, to be sisters, in and through their submission, to strive to become one with the truth. And I'm striving to practice that and prove that. I'm not anti anyone, family. I'm not anti anyone, but what I am most definitely is I'm pro-black. I consider myself to be a black man first and foremost. My first and most major concern, again, is the rise of, the black people caught up again, like I said, in the projects, in the housing developments, in the tenements, in the black ghettos. I make no apology about that. That is the group that I was assigned to, through destiny, through fate. In the same way that someone who's Italian, is going to commit themselves to the Italian ethnicity or, ethnic grouping, or someone who's Chinese is going to commit themselves to the ethnic, racial group, of Chinese people. That's the same way that I'm going to focus on striving to represent and striving to use my life, to help my people, regain their former glory and stature, and I make no apologies about that. And I won't let anyone sway me. Now, having said that, that's my foundation, so no matter what I study, whether it be the Gospels, the New Testament, whether it be the Quran, whether it be the Old Testament, whether it be, Buddhism, whether it be 120 lessons, whatever it is, the foundation that it all rests upon is striving to awaken the black family and to strive to use my life in a way where we can rebuild the black village. And again, I make no apologies about that. Now, let me say this. The problem, with the black people of America, the African American, which a lot of people don't understand, You know, a lot of times other black people that come from the larger African diaspora, they come here and they look upon the black people and they consider us to be lazy. They consider us to be bums and ignorant and what have you. Why can't y'all get your act together or what have you? What they don't understand is that since we were brought here, dragged here against our will, without our permission or participation, is we've had our whole mental, physical, emotional, spiritual world twisted inside out. And we've had many movements over the years, over the hundreds of years that we've been here, but we've never been allowed to regain our former stature. We've never been allowed to take advantage of what they allow the latest immigrant who comes to this country. They allow them to practice things that they've never allowed us to practice. You know what I mean? And every time we have a leap forward, our movements, our organizations are tampered with, are sabotaged, are destroyed. Our leaders are killed. They're locked up. They're imprisoned. They're exiled. You know what I mean? And every time that happens, it seems like we have to go through another dark age, of 10, 20, 30 years, you know what I mean, before there's a wake up again. And then we have to learn again how to love ourselves. We got to learn again how to be positive black men, positive black women, to start to try to heal and regenerate and resurrect the family and rebuild the village, so that we never get to move on into becoming, to regaining, number one, we know who we are now. And now we can go into learning some of the higher sciences of politics and public administration, relearning, I should say, some of the higher sciences of business and entrepreneurialism, to some of the higher sciences of health and well-being. You know what I mean? It's like, even Malcolm, for those of you who've read his autobiography, at the end, Malcolm, as powerful as he was intellectually and spiritually, even Malcolm was saying that he felt like he was deficient in some of the higher sciences, such as law, and other things. And he talked about how even at his, being at 39 years of age, that he would have no problem going back into high school and following it on through a college degree and some of the higher sciences. So it's like, what are you talking about, Brother Mike? It's like I'm saying that, we've been tampered with and abused, for so long that we have a double duty that we have to be able to apply to our lives. Every time they destroy one of our movements and send us back into the dark ages to have to wake up and start the process all over again. We got to learn how to love ourselves again, and to move away from self-hatred and doubt and fear, and then we have to strive to, get into some of the higher sciences, of how do we govern ourselves? How do we, enter into business so that we can create jobs, and provide food, clothing, and shelter for ourselves? You know what I mean? There's a lot of black people now who's walking around who consider themselves to be educated, who consider themselves to be this and that and the other thing. But they haven't even begun to question, how do we govern ourselves? They don't have the type of understanding, the political public administration type of understanding that's necessary, and these are some of the things that we're going to have to learn. It's okay to talk about boycotting the businesses in our neighborhoods, but do you have a plan? Do you have an understanding of business administration so that we can open up our own businesses? You know what I mean? So, family, I hope that you get something out of this. I'm running out of time. I hope that you will follow me on Facebook, under Brother Mike X Hinton, Bruthamikexx. You know, subscribe to my YouTube channel, man, and definitely leave me some comments and thoughts, you know, and talk to you soon. Peace.